Hi there, wherever you are tonight, whether you're already tucked under a blanket or still waiting for your breath to slow, I'm so glad you're here. Outside, the rain has begun to tap gently against old wooden shutters, and the room is filled with nothing but quiet and the hum of stillness. Maybe you've had a long day. Maybe your mind has been too loud, but now all that can wait. Because tonight, we're stepping into a world lit only by firelight and warmed by stories older than memory. It's not a story of kings or grand battles, just one night in a small medieval tavern, a crooked door, a smoky hearth, and a bench that creaks just right beneath your tired bones. And yes, it's all real. No fantasy, no fiction. These were the places where strangers drank from the same mug and forgot for a moment that the world outside was cold and hard. So now, let's begin. If tonight you opened your eyes and found yourself not in your bed, but standing on a muddy street in a town with no name, you wouldn't be afraid. The air is cold but not cruel. Your shoes, your only pair, are damp, your cloak pulled tightly at the neck. Somewhere above, clouds hang low like a heavy quilt, and a faint breeze carries the scent of wet ash, old bread, and something that might be burnt onions or rain-soaked leather. You're not sure. The world here feels soft around the edges, like parchment faded by candlelight. There's no clock, no glow from any screen, just the hush of puddles beneath your steps, and the sound of someone singing far away, off-key and full of joy anyway. You don't know why you're here, but it doesn't matter. Your body is tired in that old, honest way, the kind of tired that comes from walking too far, hoping for too little, and still moving forward. Somewhere behind you, a cart rolls by, wheels squeaking, turnips spilling onto the ground like clumsy soldiers. And ahead, there's a glow, faint, orange, flickering. The light spills from behind warped wooden shutters, casting gold onto the slick cobblestones. It smells like smoke and soup and old beer. You follow it. The door is crooked, leaning like a drunk. The sign above it swings, squeaking in rhythm with the wind, and carved into its face is either a bear, a barrel, or both. Doesn't matter. This is the place. You reach for the handle, and it's cold, thick with old iron, and heavy like it holds the weight of every story ever told inside. It creaks, slowly, like it's waking up too. And as it opens, the world you've been walking through vanishes, replaced by something warm and alive. The air hits you first. Not clean, no. It's thick with wood smoke, ale, wool, sweat, and something cooking in a pot that might be stew or might be ambition. The sound is next. Laughter, boots on dirt, mugs hitting tables, a dog growling low somewhere underfoot. But none of it is loud. Not really. It's layered, like a lullaby sung by a village that never learned the words, but sings anyway. You step inside, and the door closes behind you on its own. The floor is straw and dirt, the walls are wood and soot, and the light, the only light, comes from candles stubbed into iron rings, and a fire that leans into the room like an old storyteller. There's no music, not yet, but there's rhythm, the scrape of a stool, the slosh of ale, the slow, contented sigh of someone who sat down after standing for too long. You walk carefully, shoulders brushing cloaks, faces turning briefly, then turning away again. No one greets you, but no one questions you either. You're part of the room now. You always were. There's a seat near the hearth, lopsided and damp, but it's open, You make your way there, stepping around boots and barrels, and a small child curled up beside a hound twice her size. You sit. The bench groans, but holds, and for a moment, you do nothing. You just breathe. It's not clean air, but it's the kind that makes you feel grounded, safe, human. The kind of air that carries stories in it. A mug appears in front of you, not handed, not ordered, just placed. The drink is cloudy, warm, and smells faintly of grain and daring. You wrap your hands around it, not to drink, not yet, but to feel something solid, something alive. Around you, the tavern pulses. A bard tunes a lute in the corner, muttering to himself. A woman argues over the price of a goose. Someone sneezes, and half the room leans away in perfect, practiced unison. A cat sleeps on a beam above the hearth, its tail twitching in time with the fire's breath. This place, this moment, isn't part of a history book. It's part of memory, the kind that settles in gently, like the way shadows stretch just before night. No one here asks your name, no one cares where you're from, but somehow you belong. You always have, and tonight is just beginning. You feel it before you even see it. The dampness in the air that clings to your clothes, that soft, wet smell of earth and ash that lets you know night is coming. Not just any night, a medieval one without lamps, without the hum of wires or the glow of cities, only the low mutter of clouds and the breath of wind curling through crooked alleyways. The sky is heavy above you, darker than you expected. The road beneath your feet isn't really a road, more a path carved from use, pressed down by boots and cartwheels and time. Mud seeps into the edges of your shoes, and when you step, it holds you just a little, as if asking if you really want to move forward. But you do, not because you're brave, but because there's nowhere else to go. On your left, there's a stone wall slick with moss, glistening in the dimness. On your right, crooked houses huddle together, their rooftops bowed as if sharing secrets about you or warning you. Somewhere nearby, a shutter slams open and shut in the wind, wood against wood, rhythmic and tired. You're not lost. Not exactly, but you don't know the name of the place you're walking through. No signs hang above doorways, no lanterns flicker by thresholds. Only faint smells drift from narrow gaps, baked bread, boiled cabbage, damp wool, and sometimes something sweeter, something unexpected. Maybe lavender, maybe memory. You keep walking. Your cloak isn't thick, and the rain isn't kind. It falls in that steady, whispering way, just enough to soak without shocking, enough to chill without biting. It slides down the back of your neck like a finger from the past. And still, you keep walking. Your hands are tucked deep into your sleeves, but they're cold, numb in the tips. Your breath floats out in front of you, a ghost of warmth that disappears as quickly as it comes. And with each step, the mud splashes just a little higher on your legs, like it's trying to hold you still. But the road bends, and something pulls you onward. The sound of your steps is muffled, soft squelches beneath the hum of the evening. Occasionally, a cart passes, pulled by a mule whose hooves beat a tired rhythm into the path. The driver doesn't look at you. He's too busy staying dry, his head buried beneath a sackcloth hood. But that's fine. You weren't looking for company. You were looking for this, whatever this is. There's a smell now, stronger than before. Something cooking, something with meat, or maybe onions, or both. You pause just a moment, letting the scent pull you forward like a thread. Your stomach grumbles, quietly, embarrassed. It's been hours since you last ate, and even then it wasn't much. Bread gone hard at the edges, a slice of apple turned brown at the core. But here, tonight, maybe things will be different. You reach the top of a small rise, and the village stretches out before you. Not grand, not lit, just there, resting in the bowl of a low hill. Thatched roofs shimmer under the rain, chimneys breathe out smoke in slow, sleepy spirals. And just ahead, that glow again, that familiar flicker of orange behind foggy windows. The tavern. You can feel it before you see it clearly, like the way you can feel a fire, even before you step into its room. There's music now, not loud, not even near, but drifting. A whistle, maybe, or a fiddle's memory, faint and sweet and promising. You take another step. The wind picks up a little, teasing the edge of your hood, brushing hair against your cheek, like a hand you used to know. The mud is deeper here, stickier, and it makes you slower. But that's okay. This isn't a race. This is something softer. Something you were meant to arrive at when your bones were tired enough to listen. And they are, tired and listening. The path narrows as you descend into the village. A chicken scurries across your feet, its feathers wet and comically offended. A dog growls from a doorway, then yawns. A child watches you from behind a curtain, her eyes wide and curious and not afraid. You nod. Not at her, at the world, and you keep walking. The road curves again, softer now, more forgiving, as if it senses your weariness and wants to guide you gently. Stones rise from the mud, half buried but loyal, offering firmer steps beneath your boots. You press forward, not hurried, just sure. The glow ahead is closer now. What was once a smudge in the distance has begun to take shape. A crooked building with low eaves and wide shoulders, slumped like an old man who's seen too much, but still stands. Its windows are small and uneven, glass rippling like it remembers how to be water. Candlelight flickers behind them, golden, trembling, alive. And for the first time all day, you feel something like hope. The sign above the door swings on rusted hinges, its paint mostly worn away, but you can make out the faded image of a bear, or perhaps a badger, or perhaps it doesn't matter. Names are just names. This place doesn't need one. It's the kind of place that knows who you are before you enter. You stop just short of the door. Your hand rests on the rough beam that frames it, damp and swollen from years of storms. The wood beneath your palm feels warm, not from the fire inside, but from memory. You close your eyes for a moment and listen. Behind the door, a laugh, rough and sudden. A cup clinks on wood, the low murmur of conversation, layered and lazy. Somewhere above, a lull in the wind reveals a snatch of music. Just 3 notes, and then it's gone. You breathe, and in that breath, the world slows. Your shoulders lower, your fingers uncurl. The weight you've been carrying, not just tonight, but maybe always, shifts. Not gone, but lighter. You reach for the handle. It's thick, twisted iron, shaped by hands long forgotten. It's cold at first, then not. It yields under your grip with a groan, a moan, a whisper of years. The door opens, slowly, reluctantly, like an old friend unsure whether to smile or cry. The warmth hits you first, not like summer heat or a blanket pulled tight, but something older. Hearth heat, people heat, a warmth made of breath and fire and shared hours. The smell curls around you. Wood smoke, spilled ale, roasted roots, damp wool, and something faintly sweet. Maybe cinnamon, maybe stories. The light inside is soft, flickering, golden. It dances on walls stained with soot and time. Shadows stretch lazily across the floor, leaning in to listen. You don't step in right away. You let it wash over you, this moment, this crossing from wet to dry, from night to nightness. You're not rushing, no one is. Behind you, the rain continues its quiet song. In front of you, the tavern breathes. You step inside, one foot, then the other. The doors swing shut behind you with a gentle thud. And now, you're here. You blink once, twice, let your eyes adjust. There's no rush. Your cloak drips softly onto the floor. No one minds. You're not the first to arrive soaked. You won't be the last. A man nods from the corner, a tankard in his hand, his beard glinting with firelight. He doesn't smile, but his eyes are kind. A dog raises its head from beneath a bench, considers you, then lowers it again with a sigh. Somewhere, a spoon scrapes the bottom of a pot. Somewhere else, someone snores, gently, rhythmically, like a lullaby wrapped in wool. No one calls out, no one greets you, but you feel it. You've been accepted. Not welcomed, not celebrated, just allowed. And sometimes, that's all you need. The mud on your boots leaves small prints behind you. The straw beneath your feet rustles like dry leaves. And the fire, the one in the great hearth to your left, crackles just enough to remind you that it's real, that all of this is real and warm and waiting. And for the first time in longer than you can remember, you let yourself pause, you let yourself arrive. You take a slow step toward the hearth, drawn not just by heat, but by rhythm. Each crack of the fire sounds like an old tale beginning. Each flicker, a pause between thoughts. The bench closest to the flames is worn smooth, shaped by years of leaning bodies and whispered secrets. You sit, carefully, the wood sighs beneath you, but doesn't resist. It remembers you, even if you've never been here before. Your cloak hangs heavy around your shoulders. You loosen it slowly, letting the warmth creep into your sleeves like fingers of comfort. No one speaks to you, but you're not alone. You're part of the room now. Its scent, its sound, its silence. A tankard sits nearby, half full or half forgotten. It smells of honey and grain and something darker beneath. You don't reach for it, not yet. Instead, you look around the room to the rafters above, where bundles of herbs hang drying, lavender, sage, perhaps something stronger. To the far wall, where a bard with sleepy eyes tunes a lute too old for its strings. To the hearth itself, where someone has carved initials into the stone, the letters nearly worn away by time and heat and memory. Somewhere a stool topples over, a voice mutters, a laugh follows, but none of it feels jarring. It's all part of the music here, the music of a night that doesn't ask for anything but presence. You stretch your feet toward the fire, boots steaming softly. The straw beneath them crackles and shifts. You imagine how many others have sat just like this, soaked, tired, unsure where the road ahead leads, but not needing to know. Not tonight. The fire pops, sending a small ember into the air. It dances for a moment, then vanishes, like a thought you almost remembered, but let go of instead. There's a dog curled near the hearth, an old creature with eyes half closed and a nose that twitches now and then in its sleep. You wonder what it dreams of. Maybe bones, maybe warmth, maybe nothing at all. The bard plucks a string. It hums, low and clear, then fades. The room breathes with it, and you find yourself breathing too. Slower, softer, deeper. The smell of wood smoke clings to your hair. Your hands feel less cold, and the wet edge of your cloak no longer matters. Outside, the rain continues, but it feels far away now, like something that belongs to a different world. You close your eyes just for a moment. Let the warmth wrap around you. Let the noise settle like dust. Let your thoughts drift, not away, but inward, toward that quiet place that only nights like this can reach. You don't need to speak. You don't need to move. You're here, in a place with no time, no hurry, no need. A place where stories gather like fog on a window pane, waiting to be noticed. The hearth sighs again, and the room leans in with you, listening, remembering, resting. And somewhere in the background, just faint enough to miss, someone begins to hum. A soft, wandering tune with no words, only feeling. And you think, maybe this is what home sounds like, when it's not asking to be found. The door doesn't swing, it eases, slowly, as if it knows this moment matters, as if it understands that once it opens fully, you won't be the same. You feel it in the handle, the way the iron cools against your fingers, the way it resists at first, then yields, like an old friend who pretends to grumble, but has been waiting for you all along. The scent reaches you first, not one scent, but many layered like fabric piled high in a dusty chest. There's smoke, of course, old, honest, from wood that crackles not out of duty but habit. There's the thick, damp smell of cloaks hung too long in corners, of boots never truly dry. But beneath it all, something softer, simmered onion, melted fat, a hint of clove, the kind of smells that remind you what it feels like to be hungry and what it means to be fed. Light spills out across your boots, amber, gold, alive. It flickers over your feet like an invitation, one you've already accepted. And so you step inside. The floor gives slightly beneath you. Not wood, not stone, something in between. Packed dirt, scattered straw, time-smoothed planks, patched where needed. It creaks, but not like old homes do. This creak has rhythm. It belongs. You close the door behind you, and it shuts with a sound that isn't loud, but final. The world outside fades, with its rain, its chill, its dark. You're here now, inside, warm, seen. The room isn't large, but it feels full of stories, of heat, of people too tired to keep their voices quiet. A fire burns along the far wall, wide, open, bright. Its flames leap against blackened stone and throw shadows like dancers across the beams above. Candles nestle in alcoves, and lanterns hang crooked from wooden pegs, their light soft and steady. Nothing here is even. No line is straight, but everything feels right. To your left, a row of benches crowd a long table, the surface stained with ale, stew, ink, and time. A man snores into his own folded arms while someone beside him gestures wildly in a debate. No one is winning. To your right, a set of narrow stairs leads upward, crooked, steep, half in shadow. You imagine a room above with slanted walls and quilts that smell of lavender and smoke. Maybe you'll sleep there later, or maybe not. Ahead, the tavern stretches deeper. You hear boots scrape, spoons clink, laughter bubble and break. A bard hums from a far stool, tuning or testing or simply remembering a song that once mattered. There's no music yet, just possibility. Someone crosses in front of you, carrying a tray with 2 wooden mugs. One sloshes slightly, the other drips. Neither is noticed. People here are too used to spills to care. You scan the room. You don't see faces exactly, not at first, just movement, shapes in cloaks, elbows on tables, hair damp from rain, shoulders hunched over bowls, and every so often, eyes, glancing up, holding yours, then moving on. No suspicion, no welcome, just acknowledgement. You exist, you've arrived, you're here. There's a seat near the fire, not closest, someone's already claimed, that with a limp and a scowl, but close enough. A bench with no back and one uneven leg. You take it, carefully, slowly. Your body sighs into the warmth, the light, the sound. You let the moment hold you. Around you, the tavern breathes. Inhale, boots on floor, ladle in pot, someone clearing their throat. Exhale, a mug placed down, a stool scraped back, a murmur of something unimportant. You sit still, and in that stillness, you begin to hear everything. There's a rhythm here, not a song, not yet, but something older, something softer. The room hums, not in music, but in memory. The scrape of spoons, the tilt of mugs, the quiet ripple of a sigh shared between strangers who have no need to speak. A woman leans against the wall near the hearth, her eyes closed, her fingers wrapped around a cup so old its handle is worn smooth. A child peeks out from behind her skirts, cheeks flushed, thumb tucked into their mouth, eyes wide with the kind of sleepiness only firelight can bring. In the far corner, a man with a crooked hat is talking to no one in particular, though the dog at his feet seems to listen intently. His voice dips and rises, a tale with no beginning and no end, full of pauses that mean more than words. No one interrupts him. This is not a place of urgency. You notice the walls now, wood mostly, rough and weather-worn, patched where damp once crept through. Between the beams hang small things, offerings, maybe, memories, a wooden spoon tied with twine, a scrap of red cloth, a carved bird, wings folded, suspended from a nail. You wonder who placed them there, and why. You wonder if anyone still remembers. The fire cracks again, this time louder, sparks snap upward, before curling into the chimney's throat. The man with the limp doesn't flinch. He stares into the flame like it owes him something. And maybe it does. Behind the bar, the keeper moves with a quiet authority. No shouting, no rush. He wipes a mug with a cloth that's older than some of the beams above. He fills it from a barrel without looking. His hands know the weight, know the tilt. When he sets it down, someone takes it, and he's already moved on. He speaks only when needed, and when he does, the room seems to listen a little harder. You can't tell how old he is, not really. His hair is grey, but not thin. His back is bent, but strong. His eyes, they hold something steady, something that doesn't blink. You wonder how many nights he stood there, how many stories have passed through his hands in the shape of warm mugs and empty plates. At the center of the room, a table swells with people. Merchants maybe, or travelers, or neither. A woman with a thick braid pours stew from a shared bowl. A man beside her tears bread, with fingers still stained with dirt. Someone laughs too loud, and then immediately quiets, embarrassed. No one minds, no one scolds. A younger girl passes by, with a tray, ducking low, stepping high. Her apron is stained, and her smile is crooked. But she moves like she belongs here, like she knows each corner, by scent and sound alone. She catches your eye for a second. Not long, but long enough. Her smile shifts, warmer, quieter, just for you. And then she's gone. You lean back, just slightly. Let the bench take your weight. Let the air settle into your shoulders. You feel it then, how tired you truly are. Not the tired that sleep cures, the tired of carrying stories that haven't been told and questions that never found their answers. You rest your arms on the table's edge. The wood is uneven, not splintered, just shaped by time and use. You run your fingers over a groove where someone once carved a name or a symbol, or maybe just waited out a long silence. Somewhere behind you, a game begins. Dice clatter against the stone. Low cheers rise, someone groans. Coins shift from hand to hand, and someone says, "Next round's on me," though no one believes him. The bard is tuning again, slower this time. You can feel it coming. The music, not loud, not yet, but close. The room leans toward it, like flowers toward light. You close your eyes, just for a breath, and listen. There's something about this place. It doesn't want to impress you. It doesn't ask you to stay, but it lets you belong. And that, somehow, is enough. A mug is set down in front of you. You didn't order it. You didn't ask. But there it is. Wooden, smooth, still warm from the hand that carried it. You glance toward the bar. No one looks your way, but somehow, someone knew. The drink smells faintly of honey, darker underneath. Grain, smoke, a memory of sun-dried fields and quiet barns. You wrap your hands around it, not to drink, not yet, but for the warmth, the contact, something solid between your fingers, something real. Around you, voices rise and fall, ebbing like waves. A man leans in to whisper. A woman snorts with laughter. Someone claps twice, once slow, once fast. It's a language with no translation, but you understand it anyway. You're not a guest here. You're not an outsider. You are simply one of many. Another shadow in the firelight. Another breath in the room's steady rhythm. You take your first sip. It's not sweet, but not bitter. It tastes of old wood and barley and patience, of long roads and quiet fires and choices you almost made. The flavor lingers at the back of your throat, like a promise, or a warning, or both. You smile, just a little, and in that moment, the music begins. Not loud, just a single note, drawn out from the lute like a sigh held too long. Then another, then a run of soft golden tones that spill gently through the tavern, threading themselves between footsteps, under laughter, behind the scrape of bowls and the hush of breath. The bard doesn't sing, not yet. He simply plays, letting the strings speak in his stead. And they do. They speak of hills and rivers, of nights without roofs, of hands clasped tight before the battle bell. They speak of joy found in small places, of loss folded quietly into corners, and they speak to you, not loudly, not urgently, but directly. You listen, not because you're told to, but because your bones remember this kind of song, this kind of silence between the notes. You look around again. The fire dances lower now, less urgent. The dog near the hearth has stretched out, belly exposed, completely at peace. The girl in the apron hums under her breath as she wipes down a table. Her movements slow, careful, like she's cleaning not just wood, but time itself. The keeper leans on the bar, one hand cupping his chin, the other cradling a mug that he doesn't drink from. His eyes rest on the flame, and they do not move. You wonder how many nights look like this, how many evenings begin with rain and end with warmth, how many people sit just where you are, with stories they won't tell and names they won't give, but still they belong. You take another sip. The mug is lighter now, but your body feels heavier. Not burdened, not weary, just anchored, safe, like you've been unmoored for too long and finally found a place to rest. The music drifts to a close, no applause follows, no cheers, just a deeper hush, as if the tavern has exhaled, as if it too is satisfied. You breathe, slowly, deeply. The fire pops once more, and the room returns to its rhythm. A new game begins in the corner. Someone hums a different tune. The wind knocks gently at the shutters, but no one answers. You glance down at your hands, still wrapped around the mug. Your nails are chipped, your knuckles dry, but your fingers are warm. And for the first time in what feels like forever, they are still. The bench beneath you creaks again, but kindly, as if saying, stay a little longer, and maybe you will. The smoke hangs low tonight, not thick, not choking, just enough to soften the edges of everything you see. It curls around beams, dances above mugs, wraps itself gently across faces, like fog weaving through memory. You watch it move, as if it knows where to go, as if it's always known, and through it you begin to see them, the people, not as a crowd, not as noise, but one by one, as if someone's lifting a curtain between you and each of their stories. Across from you, a man with hollow cheeks and fingers, stained black, leans over his drink, like it's the only warmth he owns. He wears no rings, no sigils. His clothes are patched in places that don't show unless you're looking, but his boots are polished, carefully, lovingly, like they still matter to someone. Maybe they once did. He doesn't speak, but his eyes flick upward from time to time, toward the fire, toward the keeper, toward the past. A few seats down, a woman sharp as winter sharpens her knife on the edge of the table. Not because she needs to, but because hands need to move when hearts won't quiet. Her hair is braided tightly, her sleeves rolled high. She smiles only when someone spills something, and even then, it's the kind of smile that knows more than it says. Her laughter doesn't come easy, but comes. You feel it waiting. In the shadows near the door, two younger boys sit shoulder to shoulder, whispering behind hands as if plotting the revolution of all tavern furniture. One has a coin, the other a feather. Somehow, it's enough to make them kings. Their eyes are wide, flickering toward the keeper every few seconds, like they're trying to guess if he'll notice them or join in. A bard, different from the one playing, rests with his back to the hearth, humming softly to himself. Not performing, just remembering. His boots are worn, uneven. His shoulders slope like someone who's carried more than he should, and maybe still does. But his fingers move as if plucking strings from the very air. Every so often, he opens his eyes and looks around. Not lost, but searching for a face he knows isn't here. And still, he searches. There's a couple in the far corner, not holding hands, not speaking, but they sit so close that their shadows have melted into one. Her head leans toward his shoulder. His fingers tap the rhythm of a lullaby onto the table without realizing it. They aren't young, not anymore, but their stillness together speaks louder than any kiss. As if to say, we've weathered more than just this room, and still we are. Beside the window, a woman plays with the hem of her apron. Over and over, fold, twist, release, fold, twist, release. She's not waiting for anyone. She's waiting for the need to wait to go away. Her drink is untouched. Her eyes are soft. When the bard's melody rises, she hums along, quietly, not always in tune, but always in time. And behind her, A man with a scar across his nose stares into nothing until the chorus begins. Then his foot taps, just once, then again. The tavern isn't crowded, but it's full, not with people, with presence, with moments that don't need explanation, with glances that ask nothing but leave something behind. You feel it wash over you, this quiet communion. No introductions, no demands, just shared space, shared silence, shared heat. And in this flickering light, filtered through wood smoke and time, you realize something simple. These faces, these lives, they are not the background, they are the story. And now you're in it too. The firelight shifts. Someone has added a log, and for a moment, the whole room breathes brighter. Faces catch in the flame, half revealed, half hidden. And in that sudden glow, you see someone watching you. An old man, tucked near the wall, beneath a tapestry too faded to name. His beard is the colour of ash, his eyes like river stones, steady, unmoved. He doesn't smile, but his gaze isn't sharp, just curious, measured. He nods once, and that's all. You wonder how long he's been here. Hours, nights, years. Maybe he came in from the rain just like you. Or maybe he never left. Across the room, a younger man paces near the door, nervous but not restless. His clothes are travel-worn, boots cracked, cloak torn near the hem. He checks his pocket again and again, not for gold, but for something smaller. A ribbon, a letter, a name. Every few minutes, he looks up sharply toward the door, as if expecting someone. And each time, when no one comes, his shoulders fall, not in defeat, but in something quieter. Something like understanding. Near the bar, 3 women share a single bench, shoulders touching, voices low. Their laughter is shaped like wind chimes, sharp, sudden, fading sweet. One braids the hair of another, fingers moving with the ease of memory. They don't speak of men or money, not tonight. They speak of a goose that escaped twice, of a child's lie that was too clever to punish, of a dream involving soup that made no sense at all, and they laugh again. Behind them, half hidden in the shadow of the wine cask, sits a man with ink on his hands and a scar across one knuckle. A writer, perhaps, or someone who used to be. He listens more than he speaks, eyes scanning every corner of the room, like it might vanish if he looks away too long. You meet his eyes for only a second. He looks down, quickly, as if ashamed to have been seen. But there's no shame here, only stories, some told aloud, some only in glances, and all of them welcome. The keeper passes by you, slowly. He doesn't stop, but he sets down a folded cloth near your mug, clean, soft, dry. You hadn't asked for one, but somehow he knew you needed it. That's how things work in this place. No one announces kindness. It simply happens. A girl with one sleeve rolled higher than the other balances a bowl of stew in each hand. Her steps are careful, but not timid. She weaves through the benches, ducking under a raised elbow, sliding past a man's cane without hesitation. When she reaches the bard, she smiles, not just with her lips, but with her whole face. He grins back, and for a moment, something old and sad lifts from his shoulders like steam. You look around. The air is still thick with smoke, but you don't mind. It softens the lines, rounds the edges, paints the whole room in warmth. You blink slowly, and for a breathless second, you imagine this is not a tavern, but a memory. Not yours, not entirely, but one you've stepped into and been allowed to keep. Somewhere near the center table, a man begins to sing, not loudly, not well, but with a voice full of gravel and truth. It's not a song anyone seems to know. The words slip between dialects. The melody bends where it wants, but no one interrupts. They let him sing, because in this room, all voices are allowed to be heard, even the broken ones. He finishes with a hum, and silence follows. Not awkward, not expectant, just stillness, like the room is holding its breath to honor something unnamed. Then the sound returns. Boots shuffle, mugs lift, a stool drags across the floor. Life again. But that moment lingers. You turn toward the window. Outside, the world remains wet. The glass fogged from inside breath, distorted by rain. Shapes pass by. A cloaked figure, a cart creaking on the edge of sound, a lantern swinging on a hook. But they don't enter, not yet. Inside, the heat is steady, the smoke hangs low, and the faces you've seen tonight are beginning to blur again, folding back into firelight and laughter, into memory. And you are no longer just a visitor here. You've joined the rhythm. Your mug is almost empty now, but you hold it gently, like it's more than a cup, like it's a thread to the warmth, to the hush, to the belonging. Another log drops into the hearth. Sparks leap, shadows shift. The old man near the wall has fallen asleep, his head tilted just so, mouth slightly open. The bard hums again, slower this time, as if tucking the night in. You realize you haven't spoken a word since you entered, and yet you've said so much. Here, words are not the only language. There's silence, and glances, and shared warmth, and the quiet agreement that, for this one night, nothing outside these walls matters. You close your eyes, not to sleep, not yet, just to listen, to the creak of the beams, to the rhythm of breath, to the sound of belonging. And as the smoke rises, soft and curling, so do your thoughts, gentle, weightless, almost ready to drift into dreams. You've seen him since the moment you entered. Not because he asked to be seen, but because the room moves with him. The keeper, he doesn't wear a name, no badge, no apron embroidered with pride, but somehow you know who he is. He stands behind the bar, like the hearth stands at the center of the room, solid, smudged, quietly necessary. His hair is grey at the temples, darker at the back. His sleeves are rolled exactly once. His hands are large and careful. You notice how they move, not quickly, never in a rush, but they never stop. Cleaning, pouring, passing, catching. A dropped mug doesn't break here, because his hand finds it mid-air. A raised voice softens mid-word, because his eyes glance over, calm and unblinking. He doesn't shout, he doesn't gesture, but chairs are tucked in when he walks past. Conversations pause just long enough to acknowledge his presence, not out of fear, but out of something else. Respect, maybe, or memory. The bar itself is old wood, polished not by oil, but by time. Its surface is uneven, its edges rounded like a river stone. There's a scar across the middle, one deep groove, blackened by age. You wonder who left it. A blade, a moment of anger, a story never told. He runs his cloth across it with care, not to erase it, but to keep it alive. Behind him shelves sag with bottles, some full, some almost, some never touched. No labels, no signs, but he knows them all. His hand moves toward one without looking, and pours exactly the right measure into exactly the right mug. No guesswork, no hesitation. He remembers, not just drinks, not just names, everything. He speaks only when needed, and when he does, it's soft, simple, but it lands. A young man once raised his voice in this room, so the story goes, just once, the keeper said nothing, just turned, placed a bowl in front of him, and waited. The man ate in silence and never raised his voice again. That's the kind of power the keeper holds. Not over the room, with it. He walks the length of the bar, checking mugs, adjusting a candle that burns too close to a beam, shifting a bowl so the next server won't trip. No one thanks him. He wouldn't want them to. But when someone leaves a coin too large, he slides a smaller one back into their hand. When a traveller winces as they sit, a cushion appears beneath them before they ask. He doesn't heal, he doesn't fix, he notices, and noticing changes everything. You watch him serve without serving. A flick of his hand is enough, a nod, a glance. Even the clumsiest traveller understands what to do when the keeper looks their way. Not because they fear him, but because he offers them a kind of quiet they didn't know they were missing. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't inject himself into stories, but he knows every thread being spun in this room. He knows the man near the fire isn't here for drink, but for silence. He knows the girl in the corner with her hand on her stomach hasn't eaten today. And before the hour turns, a bowl of stew will arrive beside her without a word. He knows the merchant pretending not to be watching the stairwell is waiting for someone who won't arrive. Not tonight, maybe not ever, and still he lets them wait. He doesn't hurry grief or joy or hunger. He just holds space, like a wall that keeps the wind out without asking why it howls. You see him refill the bard's mug, not with ale, but with hot water steeped in something floral, chamomile maybe, or elderflower. He says nothing, just sets it down and moves on. The bard nods, barely, and the music, moments later, changes. Softer, lower, a song for someone remembering the edge of sleep. There's no schedule here, no hour when the lights go out or the seats are cleared. People stay until their breath slows, until their shoulders drop, until their silence is heard. And when they leave, the keeper nods once. Not goodbye, just, I saw you. There's power in that. You realize something as you watch him polish the rim of a mug that's already clean. He's not just keeping the tavern running, he's keeping it whole. He's the spine of the place, the breath between notes, the pause that gives meaning to the sound. And somehow, in watching him, you feel steadier too. Not safer, not quite, but more real. As if your own story, unspoken, uncertain, has a place here too. Later, much later, when the room has softened into that tender hour between wakefulness and dream, he lights one last candle. Not because he needs the light, but because someone will. And that's what he does. He prepares the space, not for what is, but for what might be. You watch him take a seat for the first time. Not behind the bar, not near the fire, just on a bench along the back wall, where the smoke rises slow and the light no longer tries too hard. His hands rest on his knees, his shoulders fall into place. And though no one speaks to him directly, the room acknowledges him. A mug raised slightly in his direction, a glance, a gentler tone. No one thanks him, because his work isn't something that asks for thanks. It's the kind of presence that makes others feel capable, like they belong, like their stories don't need to be big to be real. You close your eyes for a moment, listening. The low crackle of the fire, the creak of the beams, a breath released from somewhere behind you, all of it held together by one quiet figure in the back of the room, doing nothing and everything. You think about the spaces in your own life where someone like him once existed. The teacher who didn't speak much, but looked at you like you mattered. The neighbor who always left the porch light on, even when you forgot your way home. The friend who didn't need your words to know you were tired. The keeper is all of them and none of them, because he belongs to this night, this room, this version of peace that doesn't demand anything from you, except to rest. Outside, the wind shifts, a shutter rattles once, and the candle he lit flickers, but holds. The stair doesn't call to you. It doesn't creak louder than the rest, doesn't glow or beckon or whisper your name. It simply is, crooked, narrow, half in shadow, tucked between the bar and the far wall. But something about it pulls your attention. You've seen others use it. Heads bowed slightly, steps slow, hands brushing the wall for balance. They don't speak as they climb. They disappear without ceremony. No one watches them go. And yet, you notice. You notice the hush that follows after someone vanishes up those stairs. The way conversation dips, just for a second, as if the room acknowledges their absence, then swallows it whole. You rise, not out of curiosity, not even out of need, just because it feels like time. Your steps are soft. You let your hand trail the wood along the wall, fingers brushing grain worn smooth by others before you. The steps moan underfoot, not in protest, in memory. Halfway up, the noise below fades. By the top, it's gone. The hallway is narrow, just enough space for a breath and a shoulder. There's a door ahead, slightly ajar, its iron latch rusted, its frame bowed with age. You hesitate, not because you're afraid, but because you can feel it, the difference. Downstairs, the tavern lives in noise, in warmth, in presence. Here, everything is made of hush. You push gently. The door swings open without a sound. Inside, the room is smaller than you expected, but taller somehow. The ceiling curves like the inside of a bowl. The walls lean inward. The window is round, set low, with fogged glass and frost kissing the corners. A bed sits beneath it, just wide enough for one body and a dream. The quilt is patchwork, uneven, hand-stitched in places with thread that doesn't match. There's a table, a stool, a single shelf with nothing on it but a candle, half burned, and silence. Not empty silence, not lonely. A stillness that holds its own kind of weight. You step inside, close the door behind you, and suddenly it's just you, and the soft sound of your breath, and the steady rhythm of your heart adjusting to the quiet. You sit on the edge of the bed, the mattress gives slightly, and you exhale. Here, time folds. There are no clocks, no markers, just the soft press of now. You run your fingers gently along the quilt's edge. The stitching is uneven, done by hand, clearly not by trade, but by someone who cared. Some patches are faded, others newer, brighter, as if little pieces of other lives had been tucked into this cloth over time. One square is made from old linen, dyed with berry stain, another from wool that still smells faintly of smoke. You pull the blanket slowly over your knees, not to sleep, but to feel something grounded, something warm. The air here is cooler than below, not cold but untouched. It carries the scent of dust and wood and lavender, long since dried. And beneath it all, stillness. You listen. Outside the window, rain begins again. Soft, gentle, not pounding now, but brushing the rooftop like fingertips. You imagine the drops sliding down the glass, tracing lines you'll never see but somehow feel. This room doesn't ask anything of you. No posture to hold, no words to find, no mask to wear, just breath, just quiet. On the table, the candle waits. You strike flint to steel, once, twice. The spark catches, and the wick responds. A small flame, shy, flickering, alive. It doesn't light the room, it blesses it. Soft shadows stretch toward the corners. The wood on the walls seems to sigh, like something long forgotten, now remembering what it means to be seen. You sit again, tucking your legs beneath you, mug still in hand. It's not full, but it doesn't need to be. Each sip is enough, each swallow a reminder that you are here and real and allowed to rest. There's a small chest beneath the stool. You don't open it. You don't need to. Whatever it holds has already served its purpose. Some things aren't meant to be used again, just kept, just remembered. You lean your head back against the curve of the wall. It holds you like a cradle, firm but not unkind. The silence grows deeper, not louder, just more complete, like a blanket wrapped around the edges of your thoughts. You think about all the people who have sat where you sit, travelers, dreamers, someone who needed to cry without being seen, someone who needed to laugh without needing a reason, someone who just needed to be. And now, you wonder how many nights passed without anyone noticing the beauty of this little room. How many feet stomped up the stairs with too much weight to see the candle, the quilt, the quiet window. But tonight, you did. And now it belongs to you too. Not forever, but for now. And that's enough. The rain outside quickens slightly. You hear the wind shift, not angry, just turning, adjusting. A loose branch taps softly against the outer wall, rhythmic like a lullaby with no words. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but to rest deeper. You feel your heartbeat in your palms, in your chest, in the soles of your feet, the kind of rhythm that only shows up when you're finally still. And in that stillness, something shifts inside you. Not a big thing, not a revelation, just a loosening, like a rope tied too tight, finally letting go. The candle burns lower now, its pool of wax softening around the base. Shadows have changed direction. What was once sharp along the walls is now rounded, blurred, as if the very corners of the room have exhaled. You don't move, you don't need to. Everything here allows you to be still. You glance toward the window. The fog has thickened, clinging to the glass in patterns that resemble leaves, or old maps, or the trace of fingers. You can't see the street anymore, just the glow of one lantern below, blurred and trembling. It's enough. You imagine the keeper downstairs, still quietly moving behind the bar. You picture the bard leaning against the hearth, eyes half closed. The game in the corner, likely finished. Someone probably won, someone didn't. No one argued, and the girl with the uneven sleeves might be tucking chairs in now, her braid loosened, her feet sore, but her spirit still bright. Life continues there, in warmth, in sound. But here, time floats. It doesn't pass, it hovers. A room suspended just outside the world's grasp. The air carries no expectation. The walls hold no judgment. Even your thoughts move more slowly, softer, like leaves caught in a shallow current. You breathe in, and the air tastes like wood smoke, and wax and fabric warmed by touch. You breathe out, and with it go the stories you've carried all day. The worries, the names, the weights that never had a name. There's something about this room that feels like it remembers you, even if you've never been here before. As if some quiet part of you once visited it in a dream and finally found the way back. The candle gutters slightly, not out, just quieter, like it's settling too. And in that dim light, You notice the floor beneath the bed is etched with something, scratches maybe, or symbols, too faded to read. They don't frighten you, they just feel old, familiar, like someone once knelt there and whispered something important into the grain. You don't try to decipher it. Some things are meant to be felt, not translated. You lie back now, fully, the quilt pulled over your chest. The mattress molds to your shape without resistance. The ceiling curves above like the sky in miniature. You trace the line of the beams with your eyes. Each one tells a story of a tree long gone, now holding you aloft. You close your eyes again, not to hide, but to listen deeper. Rain, wind, breath, candle, silence, each one becomes part of you. Or maybe you become part of them. And just before your thoughts dissolve completely, a small realization rises, unbidden, quiet, and clear. You didn't come up here to escape. You came to return to yourself, to the quiet, to the place inside you that always knew how to rest when the world allowed it. And tonight, it has. When you return downstairs, the tavern hasn't changed, but it feels different. Not because anything moved or anyone left, but because you are different. Your steps are slower now, your breath deeper. The hush of the room above still clings to your shoulders like a soft shawl. The fire hasn't gone out. It burns lower, yes, but stronger too, concentrated. A single flame holding the memory of everyone that came before it. The hearth is quieter now, but the warmth it gives off is even more inviting, like it's been waiting just for you to sit back down. You find your seat again. Not the same one, but somehow still yours. The mug before you is empty, but someone has left a slice of bread wrapped in a cloth beside it. Not fresh, not hot, but enough. That's the way of this place. What's given isn't grand, it's grounded. You tear off a piece slowly and let it rest on your tongue before chewing. It tastes like wheat and thyme. You glance toward the fire. A few figures still gather near it, their outlines soft, as if the glow of the flames has blurred their edges on purpose. A woman with hair piled high tells a story with just her hands, not loud, but with rhythm. A boy too young for ale holds a wooden carving, smoothing its surface with the edge of a spoon. A man with a thin braid and a missing boot hums, not a song, but a sound that fits the fire the way smoke fits air. You let your eyes soften, let them blur like the rest of the room. You begin to notice things you didn't see before. The marks in the stone where chairs have scraped 1,000 times. The way one beam above is darker than the others, not painted, just touched more. Perhaps it sits beneath the table where lovers rest their hands, or travellers lean their heads when sleep begins to win. You hear the hearth crackle, not loudly, but as if it's remembering. The flames flicker upward, tracing the curve of the chimney's throat, and you swear for a moment that you see a face in the fire. Not frightening, familiar, a smile just beginning, eyes half closed, as if in sleep or prayer or something softer still. You don't look away, you don't need to. The fire tells stories if you're quiet enough, not in words, but in movement. A rise here, a snap there, a glowing ember breaking off like the last sentence of a letter never sent. Someone places a log on the fire. No ceremony, no announcement, just a quiet offering. The flame accepts it without fuss. You wonder how long it's burned. Not just tonight, but through seasons, through years, through names that have come and gone. Maybe even through wars. The hearth remembers, not with sorrow, not with pride, just with presence. It's always been here, and it's still burning. The warmth reaches you again, across the room, across the night. It doesn't chase the cold, it simply gives you something to lean toward. You lean in, and in that closeness, you hear it. Not the fire itself, but the echoes. Laughter from another night. A lullaby hummed behind a closed door. The whisper of someone promising just one more drink. It's not haunting, it's tender, as if the room has chosen to keep the good parts of every voice it's ever held. You feel it now, not just heat, memory, and it welcomes you into it, one breath at a time. The people around the hearth don't speak loudly, they don't need to. Their voices blend with the sound of the fire, folding into it like threads in a tapestry. Each word, each pause becomes part of the rhythm. A man with a cloak too large leans forward, one elbow on his knee, his eyes never leaving the flame. He says nothing, but the way his shoulders settle suggests he's found what he was looking for, or that he's finally stopped searching. Beside him, a woman with a faded shawl hums a tune you almost recognize. Something old, something soft, the kind of song grandmothers sang while peeling apples or darning socks. Her fingers twist the fringe of her shawl as if counting something that doesn't need numbers. On the other side of the hearth, two children, perhaps siblings, perhaps strangers, pass a carved figure back and forth. A horse, maybe, or a dragon. The fire makes it difficult to tell, but they don't argue, they don't grab. One hands it off, the other receives it, and they repeat the motion again and again, like it's the most important task in the world. Someone lifts a mug, not to drink, but to warm their palms. The metal catches the light and reflects it across the walls, where it dances for just a moment before fading. You watch the way the firelight traces faces, across cheeks, across noses, beneath tired eyes. It turns each person into a portrait, painted in warmth and shadow. And you realize this room has no center, but somehow everything circles back to the hearth. It's not the brightest part of the tavern. It's not the loudest, but it's the one that holds, like a heart, like a memory you didn't know you needed until you were near it. The keeper moves nearby, not intruding, just passing. He glances toward the hearth and then toward you. He doesn't smile, he doesn't nod, but somehow you feel acknowledged, as if he sees that you're listening, that you understand. A silent exchange between two people who know how important it is to protect quiet spaces. You look back at the fire and notice the logs have settled into one another. No more flames leap upward, just red glow, steady and pulsing, like the last heartbeat of a long day. Someone begins to speak, an old man with silver hair and a voice like velvet rubbed thin. He doesn't address the room. He just starts telling a story, low, measured, spoken more to the hearth than to anyone else. It's about a horse that ran faster than the wind, or maybe a river that changed direction. The details don't matter. What matters is the telling, the cadence, the calm. Others lean in, not with their bodies, but with their breath. The tavern narrows, shrinks, becomes a single, shared listening. You close your eyes and let the words drift over you, not to understand them all, but to let them soften you, the way music does, the way dusk does. When he finishes, no one claps, no one comments. The fire shifts, the moment holds, then continues. And you sit there, still, quiet, whole, feeling the warmth not just on your skin, but under it. The coals now glow more than they burn. No more flames, no more crackling, just a soft hum of heat, like a lullaby without melody. You sit with your hands tucked beneath your arms, leaning slightly forward, chin resting on your knuckles. Your body no longer asks questions. It just listens. The man who told the story has gone quiet. His eyes are closed, lips parted just enough for breath to pass through. He doesn't sleep, he remembers, and the hearth remembers with him. A mug is set down gently on the stones near the fire. Not drunk from, just placed. An offering. Maybe someone's last drink of the night. Maybe someone's goodbye. You imagine it staying there until morning, its contents cooling slowly, never touched, but never forgotten. A small, quiet gesture, the kind that matters here. Around you, the tavern begins to settle. Voices soften to murmurs. Boots slide rather than step. The keeper's movements grow fewer, smaller. He wipes down the same space on the bar twice. Not from habit, but from grace. You understand it now, the way this place slows. Not suddenly, not sharply. Like a song played one note slower, and then one more, until even silence becomes music. You turn back to the hearth one last time. The glow has dimmed, but it's not gone. You think of all it's held, the stories, the secrets, the sighs, the light that wrapped itself around shoulders, around laughter, around silence. You feel a kind of thankfulness rise in you. Not the kind you say aloud, the kind you breathe out slowly and let stay behind. The chair beneath you creaks softly. You shift your weight, not to rise, but to settle deeper. You're not ready to leave, not yet. Maybe not for a long time, and that's all right, because the hearth is still warm, and this moment is still yours. The night has grown old, not tired, just slow. The tavern no longer hums with story or flickers with laughter. Now it breathes, soft and long. You notice it first in the way the air feels heavier, not cold, just still, as if the walls are listening more than holding. There are fewer voices now, fewer bodies. Most have left without farewell. Some with a nod, others with only the hush of a door closing behind them. But a few remain, not because they must, because they aren't quite ready to step back into the world that waits beyond the threshold. You watch them from your seat, eyes half lowered, not staring, just noticing. A man with a crooked finger gently stacks the mugs on his table. 1, 2, 3. He doesn't work here. No one asked him to. He just does it. And when he's done, he rests both palms on the table like he's grounding himself, like he needs the wood beneath him to believe he still exists. A woman near the window is tracing something on the fogged glass. A shape, a letter, maybe nothing at all. She pauses, rubs it away, and begins again. Not hurried, not frustrated. It's as though she's writing to someone who can only read between the lines. Behind her, a man with eyes too alert for this hour spins a coin on the table. Again and again. The metal hums softly each time it circles, then wobbles, then falls. He catches it, starts over. His shoulders are hunched, his boots untied. He isn't waiting for anyone. He's waiting for the need to move to pass. The keeper hasn't gone upstairs yet. He never leaves before the last soul finds peace. He leans on the bar now, a cloth in one hand, his gaze far away. Not lost, just elsewhere, like someone listening for a sound that hasn't come yet. You realize, watching him, that some people don't sleep because they can't. Others, because they've become the ones who keep watch for the rest. The kind who stay behind, just to be sure everyone else makes it home. A role never asked for, but one accepted quietly. The fire is only embers now, no flames, just that low red light that holds the room like a cradle. You feel yourself moving with it, breathing with it, no longer thinking of morning, no longer thinking of time, just here, just now, just this. One of the chairs near the fire groans softly as someone shifts their weight. It's a sound you've heard before, earlier in the night, but now it feels different, slower, more final. The man seated there is older, his coat buttoned all the way to the neck, hands tucked beneath his arms like he's holding something close to his chest. Something not meant to be seen. He isn't asleep, but his eyes are heavy, watching the glow of the coals without really needing to see them. You imagine he's come here for years, maybe even sat in that very chair more times than anyone could count. There's comfort in routine, in a place that never changes too fast, and this tavern, in its own quiet way, offers that kind of stillness. It doesn't demand anything from you, it just makes space. Across the room, the girl with the uneven sleeves returns. Her braid is loose now, falling over one shoulder. She carries no tray, no plates, just a small cloth folded in her hands. She walks to one of the tables and begins wiping it down, not out of necessity, but as if the motion soothes her. You watch her move with the rhythm of someone who's learned to find peace in repetition. Her fingers pause at a corner of the table where a deep scratch runs through the grain. She touches it gently, then smiles to herself. Maybe she remembers the night it happened. Maybe she was the one who caused it. Or maybe she just respects the story it holds. The light from the coals stretches across the floor like a sleeping animal. It flickers slightly with each breath of the room. You notice how everyone left seems to be breathing in sync. Not perfectly, not intentionally, but naturally. As if something about this late hour asks for slower inhales, quieter exhales. Even your own breath joins the rhythm without effort. You feel it in your chest, your throat, the tips of your fingers, that soft heaviness that doesn't press down but settles in, the kind of heaviness that feels like safety. The boy from earlier, the one with the carved wooden figure, is curled on a bench now, the toy beside him. One hand dangles just off the edge, fingers twitching slightly as he drifts somewhere between waking and dream. No one wakes him, no one tells him it's time to go, because here there is no time to go. Only stay until you're ready. Outside, the wind moves the shutters with a slow knock. A branch taps against the roof. You imagine the street is empty now, the village sleeping, the world holding its breath before the first trace of light returns. But inside, this tavern still glows, not with brightness, with presence. And you realize, watching the last few patrons around you, that some goodbyes don't have to be spoken. They happen gently, in silence, in stillness, in the shared understanding that not everything needs an end. The candle at your table has nearly burned itself out. The pool of wax surrounding the base is still and glassy, catching the final flickers of the coals like a mirror too tired to shine. You don't move to replace it. There's no need. The darkness that's coming isn't unkind. It's soft, like a blanket pulled slowly over the room. The old man near the fire has tilted his head back, his mouth slightly open, breath even. Whether he's asleep or simply somewhere else, no one disturbs him. And somehow, that seems right. In this hour, every small silence feels sacred. The girl with the cloths has stopped wiping. She now leans against a beam, her arms crossed loosely, gaze unfocused. You think she might be listening to something only she can hear. Maybe the rhythm of her own breath. Maybe the echo of a voice she misses. Maybe nothing at all. But whatever it is, it calms her. The man who spun the coin earlier now rests his forehead on folded arms. The coin lies still beside him. It will not spin again tonight. You look around and realize that in their own way, each person here has surrendered. Not to sleep, not entirely, but to the moment, to the slowing, to the weightlessness that comes when nothing more is expected of you. The keeper walks once more around the room. He doesn't carry a lantern. He doesn't speak. He checks on no one, and yet he sees everything. His hand brushes the top of a chair, straightens a mug, adjusts the window latch, each movement a benediction. When he passes you, he pauses, just for a second, long enough that your breath catches. He meets your eyes, no words, just a nod. Small, almost imperceptible, but it stays with you. And in that moment, you know, you've been part of this night, not a visitor, a thread in the tapestry. He walks to the door, unlatches it, then closes it again. He doesn't step out. He's not ready yet either, and neither are you, because though the night is nearly done, there's still something left to feel. Not loud, not clear, just real. And as the last ember shifts, as the candle sighs, as the quiet deepens into something that no longer needs name or shape, you stay. You stay, not because you have to, but because this night, this room, this warmth, is a place where nothing is asked of you except to breathe. And that you can do. The tavern is almost still. Almost. There's a pause in the air, a gentle coiling of time that says the night is ready to end, but hasn't quite decided how. Outside, the sky hasn't brightened, but it's no longer black. It holds that tender hue of deep grey blue, the colour of a quiet breath before the first word of the day. You feel it in your bones, not as an alarm, but as an invitation. Something has shifted, not loudly, not suddenly, like the moment a held note finally falls silent. And the silence means something new. You rise slowly. Your legs carry the weight of rest, not exhaustion. Your hands brush the edge of the table one last time, fingers gliding along the grain like you're memorizing the feel of goodbye. The candle has gone cold. The keeper has stepped out of sight. The girl with the braid is no longer by the beam. The old man has vanished too, perhaps upstairs, perhaps into the early dawn. You don't need to know where they went. What matters is they were here, and now they are not. You cross the room in silence. The benches creak beneath no one. The hearth is only ash now, and yet the stone still holds warmth. You let your hand hover above it, not to take heat, but to feel its memory. A few chairs remain tucked in. One is turned slightly, left as if someone might return. You don't correct it. You let it stay. A story left mid-sentence. Not all endings need to be tidy. At the door, you hesitate, not out of reluctance, out of reverence. You glance back once more. The room looks smaller now, not shrunken, closer, like something once far away that now lives in you. The light from outside is different. Not quite day, not quite night, just becoming. The latch clicks under your hand, not loudly, not finally, just enough. And before the door opens, you take one last breath of everything behind you. When the door finally swings open, it doesn't groan or resist. It moves like something long, accustomed to both greeting and farewell. The morning greets you not with sun, but with stillness. The sky is the color of unspoken thoughts. The street outside glistens with the last memory of rain, cobblestones slick and shining like softened glass. The wind carries no cold, no scent, just a suggestion of movement. You step through the threshold and pause, letting the air wrap around you. Behind you, the tavern doesn't disappear. It holds its shape in the mind, not like a building, but like a breath you're still finishing. You know that if you turned back now, the room would be just as you left it. But you don't turn. Not because it's over, because it's part of you now. A warmth tucked inside the quiet parts of your mind. The village around you is asleep. Shutters still drawn, smoke not yet rising. No footsteps, no voices, just a slow awakening of the world. You walk slowly, not with purpose, but with presence. The sound of your boots echoes slightly, not sharp, not loud, just enough to remind you that you are here, that you are real, that the stillness you carry was not left behind. It walks with you, in your shoulders, in your breath, in the way you no longer rush your steps. You pass a small window where candlelight flickers behind glass. Someone else has woken early, or perhaps never slept. And for a moment, you feel connected. Not by words, not by knowing, just by nearness. Two souls awake in the in-between. You don't wave, you don't stop, but the moment settles in you like a feather falling on still water. You wonder how many others have stepped out of that tavern and into mornings like this. How many feet touched these stones, carrying dreams still half alive. How many left with silence in their lungs and fire on their skin. You pause at the end of the street, where a small stone wall meets the edge of a field. Mist hovers low over the grass, not thick enough to hide the world, just enough to soften it. You rest your hand on the wall, its surface cool and worn. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the sun is waiting. But you don't need it yet. This grey, this hush, this almost light is enough. You remain at the wall a little longer than you planned. Not because something is holding you, but because nothing is pushing you. And that's rare. You breathe in again, this time fuller. The air feels different out here. Not better, not worse, just wider. You imagine the tavern behind you, the keeper quietly placing chairs back in place, the girl folding cloths with slow fingers, the fire resting in ash like a letter fully read. You picture the room not closing, but folding itself gently around the memory of night. It will be there again when dusk returns, and you will carry a part of it until then. You step away from the wall, continuing your walk, not toward something, but with something, a sense of having been somewhere real, somewhere kind, somewhere that didn't need to be loud to be felt. The sky begins to pale at the edges, a suggestion of gold hidden behind clouds. A bird calls once, clear and certain. You don't rush your steps. The world may wait quickly, but you don't have to. Not yet. Not now. You carry silence in your bones, not emptiness, not loneliness. The kind of silence that makes room for breath, for memory, for stillness. The kind you earned, the kind you can return to whenever you need. And as the first slant of light touches the edge of the mist, you smile, small, to yourself, because you were there, because it mattered, because you remember. The world has quieted now. Even the wind that once danced along the rooftops has grown gentle, folding itself into the folds of the earth. Your steps are fewer, slower. You no longer walk with purpose, but with presence. Each breath you take is deeper, softer. Each moment stretches longer than the last, like a thread unspooling into silence. There's no need to hold yourself upright anymore. No more stories to chase, no more chairs to return, no more coins to count. Just the memory of wood beneath your fingertips, the scent of ash still resting on your sleeves, the lingering warmth of a fire that burned only for being near it. You find yourself remembering the smallest details, not with effort, but with ease. The softness of a stool beneath your knees, the flicker of a candle catching your gaze for just a second longer than it needed to. The way your body eased into itself when the room grew still and you realized no one was watching, that you didn't have to speak, that the quiet would hold you, and it still does, even now, as your eyes grow heavier, even now, as the sky behind your thoughts grows darker, not with night, but with rest. There's no more walking to do, not tonight. There is no destination waiting, just this place, this breath, this moment. You curl into yourself, not out of fear, but out of softness. You gather your limbs close, you let your shoulders fall, you let your breath slow, you let the tavern remain behind your closed eyes, like a painting that only you can return to. Every bench exactly where you left it, every mug quietly waiting for morning. The keeper still behind the bar, still polishing something that doesn't need to shine. And you, still sitting there, somehow, still held, still seen, still safe. You feel the bed beneath you now, not as an object, but as an invitation. The way it gives under your weight, the way the blanket folds around your shoulders without being asked. There's no pressure here, no angle to correct, no posture to hold, just a gentle slope of your spine settling into the earth, just the slow curl of your fingers as they forget what it means to hold on. The sounds around you have faded to a hush. No footsteps, no doors, only the hush of your own breath and the distant memory of laughter curling through beams of wood long after it has left the room. You imagine the hearth again, not as fire, but as memory. You can still feel its glow behind your eyes, not light, but presence. You carry it now, the way a scarf holds a scent of smoke, long after the fire has died. You let it warm your thoughts from the inside out, and that warmth becomes peace. Nothing is asked of you here, not even sleep. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to earn it. It comes when it comes. And tonight, it is already here. You can feel it in the looseness of your jaw, in the way your shoulders have drifted downward, in the weight of your legs, heavier now, more still, like stones resting at the bottom of a clear lake. Time does not pass in this space. It floats, like dust in a quiet room, like silence that has grown soft from being shared. You are not alone, not here. The keeper may be gone, the candle may have died, but the room remembers you. The walls still hold your shape, the fire still carries your story, and in some quiet place between then and now, you are still seated in that chair, watching the coals, wrapped in stillness. And that thought comforts you more than words ever could. You are far now, far from the street, far from the stone wall, far from the tavern's door, but closer to yourself, closer to something inside you that remembers how to be soft, how to be quiet, how to be held. You are not thinking anymore. Not really. Thoughts come and go like slow birds flying across a wide sky. You don't chase them. You don't keep them. You simply watch them pass. and feel no need to follow. There is no story left to tell, only breath, only rhythm, only the hush of a room that still lives somewhere inside you. The chair still warm, the mug still full, the fire still glowing. You don't have to open your eyes, you don't have to rise. The world will wait, and when you return to it, it will feel softer. Not because it changed, but because you did. You've walked through a night that didn't need to explain itself. You've sat in silence without apology. You've felt the weight of warmth without needing to name it. And now you are lighter, not empty, just less burdened, just more at rest. Outside your window, the sky may be changing. The birds may be waking. But here, inside you, the night still holds. And that is a beautiful thing. So let it hold you just a little longer. Let the hush wrap around your breath. Let the memory of fire stay lit just beneath your ribs. Let the tavern remain open behind your closed eyes for as long as you need. And now, may you rest as peacefully as those who sat in that quiet room long, long ago.